I'm JP Tuesday.
And I'm Kiki Cannon. As lifelong Disney fans, the work of countless talented Disney creatives have shaped our lives.
Now, as the Disney catalog expands, we're taking a journey through film and television to discover if that spark that shaped us as children lives on in adulthood.
Does your favorite Disney media still cast that same spell? Join us as we find out. We are Rewatching the Magic.
Happy anniversary, Kiki!
Happy anniversary, Tuesday.
What's the 2-year anniversary thing? Is there a thing for 2-year anniversaries?
I don't know. A bit of paper. Who knows?
2 years ago, I sent a DM to Kiki saying, hey, I have an idea for a Disney podcast. You think you want to be on it? And you said, sure, let's do that. 2 years later, we're still doing it.
Who'd have thunk?
We've wanted to save this for special occasions, so our special anniversary episode is a retrospective on The Simpsons. This show, which has been going on for over 30 years. I don't need to tell you all about The Simpsons. Everybody knows what The Simpsons is.
I mean, this has been on for most of our lives.
When this show started in 91, we were the same age as Bart Simpson, 10 years old. Now we're older than Homer Simpson.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, the shorts on the old Tracy Ullman show, and then in December of 89, we get the actual first full-length Simpsons.
Yeah, the first full-length Simpsons was a Christmas episode, Simpsons roasting on an open fire. 30-plus years later, the show is still on the air, still going.
There is no way anyone could have seen that coming.
Yeah, if you had gone back in time and told someone that The Simpsons are going to be on for 30 years, no one would believe you. People didn't think the show would go past that first season. If for a while it was a joke where during that middle season 15 to 25 decade, people were going, The Simpsons is still on the air? And occasionally you'll get that. Like, The Simpsons is still on? They're still doing that?
You know, I think it's one of those things now that even if The Simpsons went off the air, people would go like, no, The Simpsons is still on the air. Because now it's just a thing.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre how much The Simpsons has changed. We've talked about how, you know, all the jokes about my weird childhood. But my childhood was so bizarre that I was allowed to watch the Tracy Ullman show. So I saw The Simpsons as a short. But when The Simpsons came on as its own cartoon, there was a lot of backlash from the religious community that I grew up in. That, you know, it was a cartoon, but it was for adults. But the kids, especially Bart, was a bad influence, and Ned Flanders made fun of religious people, and you know, so you know they said swear words sometimes. So I wasn't allowed to watch the show proper once it became a thing. And so I missed those first couple of seasons in the original run. So I only saw them in reruns years later once I was finally allowed to watch the show. So it was kind of funny, you know, how it entered my life a little bit later. And of course now you have books about, you know, Ned Flanders, you know, how the Simpsons actually portrays positive religious morals, and you know, what The Simpsons can teach you about being a good parent, and Bart and Lisa, are they actually good role models for your children? Like
it just turned upside down, as it were.
yeah, it's been on so long. It's very bizarre how Simpsons has gone from so counterculture to the epitome of the culture.
Yeah.
What about you? Were you kind of there from day one, or?
I occasionally watched a little. I didn't watch a lot of the Tracy Ullman Show. I knew that it existed, but my first exposure to The Simpsons was that first Christmas episode, and it was a weird cartoon for me. Like, here are these cartoons, but these adult languages, and a 10-year-old kid, me hearing a kid my age on TV saying "damn" and "hell," and acting like, for lack of a better term, acting like real people, because the sitcoms at the time and for a while was just, for lack of a better term, perfect people, and you would get the occasional special episode where something bad happens. But I hate using the term Full House, but that's kind of what it was. And then through The Simpsons, you had Married with Children, but still you had this. But The Simpsons was, the adult cartoon, and cartoons should only be for kids. But I still watched it. My parents let me watch The Simpsons. The Simpsons really started as that deconstruction of the sitcom, and now it's the staple of the sitcom. You got Family Guy and American Dad and King of the Hill, Bob's Burgers that came from it, and shows like Malcolm in the Middle and the Goldbergs and Everyone Hates Chris that kind of took the inspiration from The Simpsons. It's kind of weird. Like you said, it started as counterculture, and now it's like the measuring stick of all other sitcoms.
It is just so foundational to our generation and how we see the world. So we figured that we would just take this, anniversary special and talk about episodes that were really important, not only to us, but to some of the guests that we have enjoyed talking to over the last 2 years.
Yeah, everybody has at least one favorite episode of The Simpsons. I don't care who you are. Everyone has one episode of The Simpsons that is their absolute favorite. So we asked some of our past guests what their favorite Simpsons episode was, and to come onto the show, and we'll discuss about it. And we're going to be talking about Simpsons episodes from all over the series, from the first season to the most recent season, amazingly enough. Yeah, let's go to our first episode discussion, and we'll be back.
You play pretty well for someone with no real problems.
Yeah, but I don't feel any better.
The blues isn't about feeling better. It's about making other people feel worse and making a few bucks while you're at it.
And here we are with our first guest of the podcast. It's our friend Adam.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Adam.
Hey, Adam. Oh, so good to have you back.
I love coming on this show. You guys are great, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah, so the episode that you wanted to discuss was Season 1, Episode 6, Moaning Lisa. Why this episode?
It is an epic tale of depression, saxophone, and video boxing.
Ah.
It's, I believe it's the very first quote-unquote Lisa episode as well, which I actually enjoy those. A lot of people complain about them, but they always seem to have a little bit more emotional weight than your standard Simpsons episode.
I think this is also the first one that it really focuses on the musical aspect of The Simpsons as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of the earliest ones that really focuses on Lisa's love of music and how music is kind of integral to the Simpsons experience. It also really starts to get the family dynamic of the Simpsons into place. Homer and Bart's relationship, Homer and Lisa's relationship, Marge's relationship with the kids. It's kind of really foundational for the rest of the Simpsons.
And a little bit about how Marge grew up as well and how that impacts her parenting style.
Yes, exactly.
Because we do see in her dream sequence that we see how Marge's mother raised her.
Always smile, no matter what happens. Always smile.
Yeah.
That's a very 1950s way to raise a child.
Watching that, that hit me because that was my family. Doesn't matter what happens at home or inside or, in your brain or whatever. It's the perception,
Perception is reality.
Yeah, what other people think is what you show to the world is the important thing. And boy, when watching that again and remembering that was part of the episode, that one, that was like a right punch right there.
Yeah, it's a little rough, and there's a great Marge moment near the end of the episode too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you want to talk about that? It's kind of a free for all. Just go for it.
The moment when she tells Lisa to smile, that kind of broke my heart a bit. I'd forgotten about that, and then Lisa's going through, and apparently all the boys like her because she's smiling now. And but the thing that got me was the band teacher. I hope we don't have another burst of creativity, which I've experienced that in my life from teachers before.
Oh yeah,
which seems like exactly the opposite. It seems like exactly the opposite of what a teacher should be doing is discouraging creativity in their students, no matter what the subject, but especially something like an art like music.
Yeah, well, I mean, do you want to talk about that scene that connects to, because that's the moment we see her in band class really trying to do jazz.
Yes, and she's pretty good at it. Lord knows where she got that from, since apparently her band teacher discourages any such displays.
But that is such a good moment when she's playing that riff and they're playing, what is it, America the Beautiful, I think?
My Country 'Tis Thee.
Yeah.
My Country 'Tis Thee, that's right. And she's playing and she says that she's playing for
the homeless man who doesn't know where his next meal is coming from, for the coal miner in West Virginia who's coughing up, and that's where she gets interrupted.
Yeah, the farmer that's lost the land or something like that, and and it's good because it is the other side of America.
And she's playing America's music.
Yeah, she's playing America's music, and she is playing the other side of America. And, this aired in 1990. We're just coming out of, Reagan's America and all that kind of stuff. And it is, it was a bit of a different time than we're living in now,
Yet still somehow timely.
Well, I mean, it's kind of always timely, but it wasn't talked about as much on TV at the time.
Yeah.
It's what made Simpsons so groundbreaking when it started.
What really kind of got me in this episode is how seriously they treated Lisa's activism, for want of a better word, because usually that it seems like it's the butt of the joke in later episodes.
Oh, here's Lisa, doing it for the attention rather than doing it because she actually believes in these causes.
Yeah.
Becoming more of I hate that term, SJW. I so hate the way it's used, but that's kind of how a lot of people see Lisa, that she says all of these things, but she doesn't actually believe in any of them.
Yeah, Lisa the virtue signaler, it's become the joke when it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Exactly.
the thing about this episode is I love how seriously they treat her depression as well. The family initially treats it as a joke. Like, Homer especially, because, you're sad. I don't see any tears.
Well, I think that's part of the lesson that Homer's learning is that depression isn't just conventional sadness. It's an issue, and I think that Lisa's depression actually shows up a lot further on in the series too, and it's kind of it's depicted pretty realistically with her.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons at the time this episode aired, so I wasn't watching the show when this initially aired, but by the time I saw this episode for the first time, just like 3 or 4 years later, I had depression, and I was roughly just a few years older than Lisa. So here was a kid roughly my age going through the thing that I had. And so this was a really impactful episode for me. It was kind of interesting, yeah.
And all of this is coming from the fact that everyone she knows, every authority figure, is telling her that she's wrong. Like, she tries to express herself and she's told don't do it. She, in any capacity, trying to be herself, and she's told no, don't be yourself, be someone else. The music teacher, the PE teacher, the letter is signed by Principal Skinner, her parents, her brother. And it's not until the end where Marge just says, be yourself no matter what. If you want to be sad, be sad. If you want to be happy, just be you. And it's like, that's what Lisa needed. And
Lisa needed to be heard and understood.
The first person to ever do that is Bleeding Gums Murphy. That actually listens to her problems, and he does say, hey, you really don't have a lot of problems for someone who says that you're depressed, but I understand where you're coming from.
I love Bleeding Gums' line, the blues isn't about making you feel better, it's about making other people feel worse.
Yeah.
Which is just fantastic.
I love that scene where Homer comes into the bedroom and she's in there playing the blues, and he's like, you know what, if playing the blues is going to make you happy, you go ahead and play the blues. It's like,
Homer's trying.
But it's that moment where Homer realizes he's out of his depth, but you can tell he loves her and he wants to be supportive. That bit where she says, well, can I just sit here and practice the fingering on my keys? It won't be too loud. And he's like, you know what? You just clack those keys as loud as you want.
It's also a rare moment of Homer's self-awareness when he realizes that he's upset his daughter by yelling at her, and then he feels awful about it. He genuinely feels awful about it, which I kind of love that he realized that. I also love Bart's attempt to cheer Lisa up, because it shows that Bart actually does care about Lisa too.
But he hates to admit. He says, you know how I feel. I know how I feel. Why do I have to say it?
Yeah. But I think him doing a prank call to Mose for her is actually really sweet.
Yeah.
It's his way of trying to cheer her up, and it doesn't go as well, but again, the meaning is it does show that Bart does love his sister.
So a couple things really stand out to me about this episode, and it's stuff that's stuck with me since the first time I saw it. For example, Lisa's song with Bleeding Gums.
The Moaning Lisa Blues.
Yeah, the Moaning Lisa Blues. That has stuck with me. The fact that, why do they call you Bleeding Gums? Let me put it this way. Have you ever seen a dentist? Not me.
Yeah.
Can we talk about some of the production aspects of this episode?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because, some of the sound design is painful.
Yeah, I mean, this is still the cartoony era of The Simpsons, as I call it, where not only is the animation style a little more exaggerated, but the sound effects are very much exaggerated. The way the sound effect of characters walking is very like boot stomping, no matter what shoes they are or aren't wearing.
Well, there's in the opening scene when Homer's looking for his keys and Bart walks across the kitchen floor, it's just nothing but shoe squeaks. which I don't recall ever hearing on The Simpsons, but for some reason it like, and it's long. It's like three seconds or something of just Bart squeaking across the floor, which I don't think they would ever show in a modern day episode of The Simpsons. They would never hold on him walking across the floor that long. Yeah.
Again, they're still trying to figure out the show at this point.
And then in Lisa's scene in the cafeteria, like the chewing noises almost overpower her dialogue.
It does get better later seasons. I mean, watch a modern Simpsons episode compared to these original ones, and Night and Day.
They definitely gone for more realistic sound design.
Yeah, and more realistic movement in the animation. No longer the exaggerated expressions and stuff that we. First thing I noticed was when Homer knocking on the bathroom door, how it looked like he was about to tear that door down, which is probably the intention, but the animation on the door would never be that exaggerated on a modern Simpsons episode.
Yeah.
There was a part where like the long shot of Bleeding Gums standing on the bridge where he was like 1.5 traffic lanes wide.
Yeah. It is an interesting episode. You know, it is so early in the series. It's only the 6th episode in. And it has the first guest star to ever appear in The Simpsons.
That's right.
Because Ron Taylor is the first. Yeah. So Bleeding Gums is our first guest voice.
I kind of want to talk about the musical aspects of the show because that's right. my area of it.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So I wanted to talk about how I love the decision that Lisa plays baritone saxophone. Because, you know, she's a tiny little girl and she plays an instrument almost as big as she is. And Barry sax is one of the more difficult saxophones to really play well. And I know Terry Harrington plays the saxophone parts for Lisa and has for a long time, and he is one of the best studio sax players in LA. And
have you ever had the chance to work with him?
I've never had a chance to play with him. No, I've certainly seen him with some big bands in the area, and I've heard him play, but I've never worked with him. I'm not quite at that level. I have worked with some pretty great people, but I have not had a chance to work with Terry. But I love also that he's been the sax quote unquote voice for Lisa Simpson from the beginning.
I love the use of the blues kind of riff in this.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the simplistic lyrics that they give Lisa's song, but they're so effective that you remember them even all these years later.
Well, yeah, and Yardley Smith really sells the performance.
And they actually put this on an album. They did a full version of this for the Simpsons Sing the Blues album.
But I think my favorite part is, "This morning my own mother gave my last cupcake away." I love that line.
Yeah. When in reality, Lisa gave the cupcake up without a fight.
Well, yeah, but it's because Marge hadn't thought ahead enough, you know? Yeah. So, I mean, it's a little bit of both.
No joy.
Yeah, a cupcake would bring me no joy.
Which, Lisa, you're wrong.
Well, yeah. I like it because one of the only claims to fame my pathetic little town has is that it has a rather famous blues song written about it. So yeah, and the lyrics are kind of rather non-profound, but they do stick in your head, so it's one of those things of I think all blues songs are kind of like that. They're very shallow seeming on the surface, but they do stick with you because they're all kind of relatable.
Yeah, it's the universal experience. It's the universal experience. That's why jazz and blues are sort of the quintessential American art form.
Yeah.
Jazz, blues, and then later hip hop.
Yeah. I do want to say I love the chalkboard gag for this one.
Bart the comrade.
Yeah, Bart the comrade. I will not instigate a revolution. Which, maybe Bart get on board that train. I don't know. It depends on which way you're going, though. It depends on who you're doing that for. So,
I think Bart would be more of an anarchist revolution than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, but again, there's various flavors.
The other thing that struck me was how long the title sequence is in these first season episodes.
Yeah,
you never saw when it was in syndication because they cut all the extraneous stuff for syndication. But like there's a part where Bart steals a bus sign, and then Lisa's riding her bike home in a weird straight on shot, and it's there's a lot of stuff in the opening sequence that you don't see either later on or when you see this stuff in syndication. Yeah, and then the couch gag in this episode's kind of forgettable. It's just Maggie popping into the air and Marge catching her.
This couch gag is actually used in the Simpsons arcade game.
Yes, I do recall that. I've played that game many, many times. I always played as Marge because I liked playing with a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. This couch gag, I think, got reused a bunch.
I think it became the default syndication couch gag too.
Yeah. So
whenever they just plop a generic opening onto a show just to save some time.
And it's because it's so short. It's one of the shorter couch gags. So.
Yeah, the last thing I had on my mind for this episode was how different storytelling on The Simpsons is now. They've gotten a lot tighter with their storytelling. This episode has a whole sequence where Homer's looking for his keys that has nothing to do with the episode.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't inform any character moments, or it's just, look, Homer's dumb.
And if it was done in a modern Simpsons episode, that would lead to whatever the plot is.
Yeah, exactly. That whole sequence up to the cupcake is just, it has nothing to do with the episode, and it's interesting how slow this episode moves.
Yeah, but it also shows kind of how Lisa is the one in the family that's most tuned into what's going on around her, because nobody else in the family can figure out what in the world Homer would do. And at first, Lisa is not checked into what everybody else is doing. She's just kind of wandering through the scene because depression,
Yeah.
And Marge is like, well, have you checked here? Have you checked there? And Bart's like, rumpus room. And he's like, we don't even have a rumpus room, But the second Lisa checks in to what are you doing? We're looking for Homer's keys. And then she immediately goes to the front door and Dad, keys,
Mm-hmm.
Because Lisa's the only one that actually knows what's going on in the world, which is why Lisa is the one that is depressed. Because
nobody else knows what's going on.
Yeah, it's if you're the one person that's actually checked into what's going on around you, surprise, you're going to be the one with depression. That's no offense, but if you're not the one with depression, you're the one ignorant to something going on around you.
And I distinctly recall, by the way, that this episode was one of the ones cited by people saying The Simpsons were a bad influence on people because Homer says, "Where the hell are my keys?"
Oh yeah, it's
a
one
cartoon
of those things.
A cartoon character saying, "Hell, we can't have that."
Yeah, children might be watching this. Yeah, it's absolutely. So I all in all, this episode was definitely a big influence on me when I first saw it, because seeing it as a little kid with depression, you don't really see a lot of little kids with depression. I mean, it's more now because children's television has gotten more into portraying kids as something other than the constantly happy, bouncy whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But this was one of the first ones that was like, oh, we're willing to show a child that has issues, you know?
And as a child with depression, that was kind of important to me.
Yeah, I mean, me too. So, you know, thank you for letting us talk about this episode.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really, like I said, it was it's been a long time since I've seen a first season Simpsons episode, and even among the rough production stuff and the weird Homer voice and all the rest of the stuff, there's actually a pretty good episode in here.
Yeah, like a good, I'd say like 80 to 90% of this episode holds up perfectly, and the stuff that doesn't is really just kind of ironing out what The Simpsons was in the early days, so you can't really fault them too bad.
It's something any young production goes through.
Yeah.
Thank you, Adam, for joining us and choosing
of course,
this.
I always have a great time
choosing this episode for us to discuss. Do you have anything to plug?
Just my normal stuff. Follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Big Bass Bone, because I play bass trombone. Like Lisa, I play an overly large instrument that plays low notes. And you can also follow me on TikTok at that, and then look for my band, the Poxy Boggards. We're a Renaissance folk band that sings very dirty songs, and that is at poxyboggards.com, POXYBOGGARDS, or you can find us on Facebook at the Poxy Boggards, and all the socials. And that's it. Other than that, I got not a whole lot going on.
All right. Thanks, Adam, and we'll be right back with our next guest and our next Simpsons episode.
I can't stand to see him like this.
What? Dad looks happy.
Something's deeply wrong. He's that makes him who he is. Did you see how he ate his breakfast? He didn't shuffle his pancakes like a deck of cards. He doesn't air drum while driving or race the dog and butt scooting across the carpet. And he always won. He's not my homie anymore.
We didn't notice any of that.
A wife knows.
And here we are with our next guest. It's the great Luke Ski.
Dental plan. Lisa needs braces.
Of course, Luke Ski, our good friend and Dr. Demento mainstay, FUMP founder, and a bunch of other stuff that he'll likely tell you about. Love you, dude, though.
Yes. I'm so happy to be included in your Simpsons Simpsorama or whatever. Yeah, this is great.
So you've chosen for the episode that you wanted to discuss, Season 32, Episode 15, Do Pizza Bots Dream of Electric Guitars? Why this episode, and why a recent episode and not a classic?
Two reasons. One, I have been watching The Simpsons since it premieres. I have never stopped watching The Simpsons when new episodes have aired. So many people treat The Simpsons the same way they treat Saturday Night Live. It's like, well, it was only good up until season, like usually they'll say season 10. It was good till season 10. Then everything after that just sucked. And I'm sitting here basically going like, no, you're wrong. It has continued to be good. It has always been good and funny. Y'all just got jaded. So it's like Weird Al once said, here's a generic review of any of my albums. And the review is, this album is great, but it's not as good as, parentheses, whatever album came out when I was 12, parentheses. So it's like, so basically I'm just fed up with all these people who insist that The Simpsons at some point stopped being a good show and stopped being funny or whatever. So yeah, so that was reason number one. Reason number two is, when I saw this episode, it's like, okay, somebody must have Men in Black neuralized me, and I forgot that I wrote and storyboarded this entire episode. This episode is so Luke wrote this that it blew my mind, just from beginning to end in every way. So it's like, yeah, I really want to. I mean, I've already talked about this on my podcast with Kyle Carrozza. Kyle and Luke talk about Toons. I asked him to watch it, and we talked about it. So I rewatched it. I took a bunch of notes on it, and so that I can get into more detail on this episode that I absolutely friggin' love.
I mean, yeah. It has the hip hop influence, and you are definitely a huge hip hop fan. You actually do rap music, and you actually have the Chuck E. Cheese, Showbiz Pizza, animatronic robots,
which is more of a specific Kyle fandom, but it's the aesthetic of Homer being incredibly excited to have a job at a pizza place where it's like an arcade and there's pizza, and I've worked
and
at
he can write parody songs to rap about food.
Yeah. So did you have more opening stuff, or should we just get into the episode?
I guess we could talk about the one thing that everyone did complain about it is that the sliding time scale of The Simpsons.
Oh yeah. Which is a great place to start, because it says that Homer is age 14, and so without having done the research on looking up all these artists that are and the specific songs that are referenced, this seems to be about the year 1991. This is the farthest forward in time the sliding Simpsons scale. Remember the first time they did an episode where it's we're going to look into the future of the Simpsons, so they went to the futuristic year of 2010. It's
yeah.
So it's this is the first time, because the Simpsons premiered and the whole thing was supposed to be look at Bart, he's this wacky troublemaker, and then here's Homer and Marge. It's they're baby boomers, and now 33 years later, it's this the whole thing has slid so that my age is I relate more to Homer than I do to Bart because of the passage of time. So here's them showing Homer being just like me when I was 14, and it's oh my god, this is such a Mobius, full circle, infinity thing happening here that, I have gone from being Bart to being Homer, and the show has now acknowledged this, and it's just mind-blowing. We see Homer, age 14, he's in his room, and he hear his dad wake him up, and all over his room are posters and albums and other stuff that all have to do with hip-hop. It's looking around his room, it's all of the mixtapes that are, personally handwritten labels in different ink colors, sitting in a rack on top of his dresser. It's this is literally photos of my room. So then he goes downstairs, and him and Abe have a little back and forth, argument where Abe, of course, is complaining that he doesn't like anything that's new and young and yada yada yada. And then Homer goes to his job, which is at Razzle Dazzle's Entertainment Emporium, or whatever it was called. So, another funny thing about this episode is that we finally get a backstory on Gil Gunderson.
Oh, Gil!
Who was a character invented in the episode where Marge becomes a
realtor.
A realtor, yeah. And it was it's I forgot that other character's name. That woman, it's stay out of the West Side.
Yeah.
And he has his cubicle wall, and they're going to take away people's cubicle walls, and he hugs his. It's I brought mine from home. So yeah, let's see. So yeah, he gets there, and it's his job to turn on the robot band, which is consists of Wackety Yak, Foxy Lady, Jive Turkey, and Hippie Hippo, the members of the Razzle Dazzle Pizza Time Band or whatever. And in the episode, one of the pizza robots fries out, and everyone's generally bored with the show anyway, but then it starts freaking out the kids, and Gil's like, Homer, you have to do something. So Homer pops in a CD. Apparently he had the instrumental of Ice Ice Baby just ready to go as a part of his whole DJing thing, and ran out there and got behind Yakety Yak and grabbed him and started rapping about pizza. And so instead of Ice Ice Baby, it became Slice Slice Baby, which not only did the people love it, but it also encouraged them to buy premium toppings. And so the other really important thing about this is that this ties into another important episode from Simpsons history, the Emmy Award-winning Three Gays of the Condo, where Homer, quote-unquote, goes gay and moves in with two other gay guys in a condo and is, separated from Marge for a time. So in order to get Marge to get through to him, she hires Weird Al Yankovic to come out and sing a song, and Al and the band sing the Ballad of Homer and Marge. And side note, Bermuda set up his drums just so that he could sit there and clap. I just love that.
Yeah.
So anyway, Homer sings. So when Homer sees it's Weird Al, Homer goes, "Did you get the parody songs I sent you?" And Al goes, "Yes." It's like, "Which you did like better, Living La Pizza Loca or Another One Bites the Crust?" And Al goes, "They're pretty much the same, Homer." He goes, "Yeah, like you and Alan Sherman." So it was established in that episode that Homer, for whatever reason, writes song parodies about pizza. So this episode firmly establishes Homer Simpson had a period of time in his life where writing song parodies about pizza was a very important passion project for him.
Yeah, Simpsons jokes you never thought would come back, but somehow did. But yeah, I love the reveal that Homer's dream gets ruined by Gil's side business.
Yeah,
That the pizza business is not doing so well for good old Gil. He is selling cocaine and hiding it in the animatronics.
So yeah, the rest of the episode is Homer just kind of fake being over it. You know, he has this memory that gets triggered by going back to the restaurant because they're going there for Ralph's birthday, and he gets this PTSD flashback. And he seems normal because, you know, he's kind of masking it. He's masking, definitely. And Marge says, you know, Homer's not himself. Homer isn't acting like himself. He's not. The childlike wonder of her Homer isn't there. And no one notices it but her and Mo.
Yeah.
I love the fact that it's Mo.
Midge?
Midge, what do we do, Midge?
Yeah, I just love the fact that she's making this impassioned speech, and then Mo just walks in and continuing the speech. So it would be so in character for Mo to have just been outside the door listening to whatever's going on with their family. You know, just because he's lonely and he's waiting for a chance to walk in and be part of the conversation.
Yeah. But yeah, they find Gil, who is now our Gil, the down on his luck Gil, you know, that we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
And Gil still has that, I'm gonna get those robots back, and I'm gonna stuff them full of even more cocaine, better cocaine, and get the pizza place back, and get my life back. But he turns over that FBI auction slip that shows where all of the animatronics ended up, so they have to go get the hippo from Professor Frink, who is using it to mix chemicals.
It's a centrifuge.
Yeah. And then Jive Turkey ended up with Disco Stew, and I think that is the best reveal.
Yeah.
Backstory for Disco Stew.
Yeah. Because we finally see his parents.
Yeah, that was, you know, again, you know, not specifically comedy music related, but just the notion of messing around with genres of music. It's like Disco Stew, we discovered that his father was Doo-Wop Steve, and then his mom is Public Domain Debbie. It's like, oh, so
he's got to have a cousin named Punk Rock Jack or something. New wave Ned or something.
Yeah. I am going to say, though, that Debbie can go take a flying leap because Disco rocks.
The fact that his legal name is Disco Stew.
And I love the fact that I love it when a character gets invented based on one dumb joke and then becomes canon for the rest of a series. So for those of you who don't remember, there was I believe a garage sale episode where there was a denim jacket or something like that, which Homer had had the words Disco STU on it, and that he was selling. It's like, it was supposed to say Disco Stud, but I ran out of space. And then they cut over to some guy who's with Disco Stew, and he's like, "Hey, Disco Stew, this would be perfect for you." And he goes, "Disco Stew does not advertise."
Yeah.
So it's like that one dumb joke, and then he's there forever. 30 seasons later, we still got Disco Stew.
I feel so bad for Foxy Lady.
Well, Sideshow Mel.
Ending up with Sideshow Mel, because you get the whole thing of Mo.
It's a Columbo reference!
Yeah!
In 2020!
I love that so much, and Mo is the perfect character to do that. That was so great. Ugh.
Just Mo going through doing his detective bit of, like the WD-40 and the trash can.
He does the one more thing.
Yeah. And Mel trying to do like the squeaky door hinges thing, and
And then after the reveal, Mel doing the slow clap.
yeah, the slow clap just broke me.
It feels like someone on the writing team really wanted to do a Mo as Columbo episode, but couldn't figure out past this one thing, and then, you know what? I'm going to fit this into this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wacky
Wacky Yak, which was bought by Herman, but Herman just sold it to representatives from the company Bad Robot who work for J.J. Abrams, and were taking it off to his new Springfield-based studio.
Our guest star, J.J. Abrams.
Yes. So okay. So we went from the hip-hop and parodies and stuff like that to science fiction director J.J. Abrams.
And
How
now,
did I not write and storyboard this episode?
and now this episode is a commentary on reboots.
and a commentary on the trolling of reboots. So basically, it's like suddenly the Bart and Lisa are sneaking into J.J. Abrams' office, and just some of the I don't want to list off every gag, but I wrote down a whole bunch of them. I love the fact that there are two bins in there. One says lost footage, and the other says found footage. Such a great joke. Ugh.
And of course, we've got Greg Grunberg showing up, because he has to be in everything J.J. Abrams does. Greg Grunberg as the security guard trying to stop them from stealing the
in the Star Trek uniform.
Yeah, in the knockoff copyright-free Star Trek uniform. J.J. Abrams stops them, and Homer shows up. They have the whole kind of coming together where Homer realizes what they're trying to do, and JJ's like, "Oh my God, such childlike wonder! I have to reboot this now and give it 9 movies." And
also, it's because they had to, of course. When J.J. Abrams makes his on-screen appearance for the first time, there is a lens flare.
Yeah, the lens flare also killed me. I don't know why J.J. Abrams agreed to do this episode, because he comes off douchey as hell.
Well,
probably intentional. I mean, a lot of celebrities are not afraid to make fun of themselves in these shows. So for Abrams to play the douchey guy that everyone thinks he is.
Yeah, it's like I would just assume that JJ has a sense of humor about himself.
Yeah, but you got to remember, like 2 weeks ago, we were talking about how J.J. Abrams is exactly this guy, and now we're talking about how J.J. Abrams is exactly this guy. So I don't know.
This episode has become about a commentary on both reboots and also a commentary on the trolling of entertainment in the world. And so it's like, again, I wrote this. So after the act break, Homer goes to Krusty Burger, runs into Comic Book Guy, a.k.a. Jeff Albertson, and they start talking about it, and Comic Book Guy explains what trolling is to Homer.
Before we get into the trolling, can we talk about my favorite joke in the thing?
Sure.
Where Homer goes in and just goes, "Can I have 6 feelings and a side of French feelings and a chocolate depression shake?"
Eat your feelings, yeah.
Honestly, I feel that so much.
I also recommend the hot apple cry.
Yeah, the hot apple cry. Like, I wanna, like, I don't need a Krusty burger. I just need, like, a depression burger.
You don't want a happy meal, you want a sad meal.
Yeah, I want, like, a deep, dark void of the soul meal. That's what I need.
McDonald's, get on that.
Yeah. The thing is that the whole back half of this episode has good points. However, I feel it is told in a bad way. The problem is that they have a point there. And they do, you know, there are a certain type of people, which is represented by Comic Book Guy, that they look at a property that is, you know, maybe a thing they watched. They bring up the "you ruined my childhood" and stuff, you know. That's not Homer.
Yeah,
What J.J. Abrams did was a very specific, personal thing to one specific human being on a personal level that has nothing to do with, like, Homer watched a thing as a kid and has, like, a parasocial relationship with something he, like, you know, whatever. It's not like Homer watched Star Wars and now has a thing against J.J. Abrams. As far as we know, these four characters are just, like, something Gil owned. Like, we see something about J.J. Abrams saying, like, buy the underlying IP, but we don't know that this is a franchise. We don't know. I mean, we kind of get it because, like, we have the association with Chuck E. Cheese, but they don't set that up in the episode. As far as we know, this is a thing Gil owns and nobody else. These are the only four in the world as far as we know. And it seems like it's a really weird and specifically personal thing that J.J. Abrams does to Homer specifically that re-traumatizes him. And then they try to do this connection to, like, Homer is exactly the same as some dude that's never met this guy that just is like, I don't like the way you art. Which is not this situation. This guy specifically came over to Homer's house and took his things that he had just spent getting back to fix a childhood trauma that is unique and personal to him. I'm just saying, Homer's got beef. And then they try to do, like, this is exactly the same as these randos over there who are just having very weird internet-y things that we don't like because we understand it from the artist's perspective, which is valid.
Yeah, let's kind of go into the Trolls Force 5 for one moment before we get into the rest of the plot here. Because, like Kiki said, you know, we have, you know, shippers and furries and comic book fans that their entire thing is, if this thing isn't exactly the way it is in my head, it's bad. And somehow that's the same as Homer. These specific animatronics that he reprogrammed himself is not the same as a worldwide franchise that's getting rebooted.
I also kind of dislike the tropes they pick because it's kind of punching down to me.
Mary Sue and the furry and all them.
Yeah, the Mary Sue and the furry. It's like, ooh, let's pick the fans that get picked on the most. Like,
I think the furry is definitely punching down. And also, like, completely, like, Mary Sue the shipper and Stan that comic book guy, like, I think they all fall in the same category, but just being a furry doesn't make you a troll. It's like,
yeah,
you know,
just being a furry doesn't make you a troll.
The furry is just like a guy who's a furry. And like, and also a quick side note, like American Dad has thoroughly done the furry jokes. You don't need to be picking on furries anymore.
And the furry dude has a point. He would know how fur moves, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. The whole kind of that part felt a little punching down to me. Not that there are not toxic people that fit each of those groups, even the furries, but just to kind of generically be like, here are the villain team.
Well, it also may have just been, sometimes episodes like run short and they just have to like invent things to stick at the end of episodes to make them long enough or whatever. So this may have been one of those, because remember the bit, everybody loves Ned Flanders. It's like, that made no sense. It was just something made to stick on the end of the episode. So that might have been the situation with this, and they just whipped up another bit.
I would have rather had the couch gag than that. And this episode doesn't have one.
Yeah, it doesn't have a couch gag or a chalkboard gag, so we can't talk about either of those. Let's talk about the final resolution of the thing where Homer finally gets over his trauma.
Marge has brought Abe Simpson back to this screening, and basically have Grandpa admit that that he was the one that was totally terrible for not supporting Homer's dreams, and not being there for him. So it's like, it wasn't. I forgot exactly how they phrased it, but yeah, basically saying, making Homer realize that him going after, the funky or the agents of pizza. I would love to figure, if they figured out what the acronym PIZZA stood for. I want to know what it is. But like Homer being obsessed and going after the Agents of Pizza movie, wasn't what he really needed. He needed, his father to apologize for being a sucky dad. So he gives up on being a troll, and then he gets to see the band again, and they've been made into frozen yogurt dispensers.
Yeah, it's another one of those modern Simpsons episodes where they keep getting so close to the point, and then they just kind of like miss it just a little bit. And you kind of got close to the point too of like, yes, everything is done for money. That's the point. Of course it's done for money. And here the point is like, yeah, it's being done for money. That's what makes you mad. That art has to have a capitalist motive. You're so close to the point, Simpsons. You keep getting so close to the freaking point, and then you just swerve off a little bit, and you're like, no, you're not mad that, like, the guy stole your childhood dream to go make money off of it because he's, like, a greedy capitalist. You're mad at your dad for, like, being a crappy father. Yeah, let's just swerve and go to that. Like, that, like, the trolls aren't mad because years and years of, like, copyright laws being messed up by Disney and, like, greedy corporate motives. You're mad because, like, trolls and ruining your child. Well, why do you think that happens?
But also you have, I mean, neither of you mentioned it, but, because Abe was such a terrible father to Homer, he found the escapism in those robots. And as JJ says, maybe this new movie, this new version, will allow the children of now to have their escapism from their terrible parents. And then Barney says, yeah, give us a chance to escape you.
Yes,
which honestly is part of the point. Most of these trolls are people who, let's be honest, probably did not have the best life growing up and found their escapism, and now their escapism is changing and they don't like it.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on this episode you want to share in the wrap up?
again, just this episode, like I said, we start with the hip hop song parodies about pizza, and we go into meta commentary about reboots and trolling of media. So, if you can find a Simpsons episode that's more in the category of Luke obviously wrote and storyboarded this, I would like you to tell me what it is.
Is there anything you want to plug?
Oh, well, I should plug Kyle and Luke Talk About Toons, the animation podcast with myself and Kyle A. Carrozza, the comedy musician known as TV's Kyle, and also the creator of Cartoon Network's Mighty Magiswords. And we have been doing this podcast since 2013, and to the best of our internet researching ability, we are the internet's longest running general topic animation podcast. So Kyle and Luke Talk About Toons. You can find us at kyleandluke.libsyn.com. We're also at kyleandluke.com, obviously, but the Libsyn one kind of gets you to the point a lot quicker. We also have a page on Facebook you can follow, and a Twitter handle. So we put out episodes every 2 weeks. Just later today, we are going to be recording an episode with Victor Courtwright, who is the person behind the show Thundercats Roar and the new show on HBO Max, Aquaman King of Atlantis. And we're going to talk to him about cool stuff. He was also the voice of he was the voice of Flummox on Mighty Magiswords. So yeah.
All right, Luke, thanks for joining us. And this episode really showed that modern Simpsons can occasionally still get it.
But if by occasionally you mean all the time, yes.
Sure.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good day.
Otto, you know I respect you. I mean, you always let us throw stuff at cars and try to tip the bus on sharp turns.
Damn thing never goes over, does it? So what's in your head, little man?
Well, I've been failing a lot of tests recently.
Uh-huh.
And now they're talking about holding me back in the 4th grade if I don't shape up.
That's it? Hey, relax, man. It could end up being the best thing that ever happened to you. I got held back in the 4th grade myself. Twice. And look at me, man. Now I drive the school bus.
All right. Now it's our turn to talk about our favorite Simpsons episodes. We'll start with my particular favorite Simpsons episode. Season 2, Episode 1, Bart Gets an F. It took a while for me to decide. I had a whole list of episodes I wanted, but I wanted to talk about Bart Gets an F because we kind of talk about it in the other segments. Bart's not dumb, but as this episode states, Bart has a bit of a fear of failure. He doesn't apply himself because if he applies himself, he fears that he's going to fail. So he becomes the underachiever and proud of it. I actually remember that phrase on a shirt with Bart. That was one of the big controversies of the early Simpsons, was this shirt with Bart saying underachiever and proud of it. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, there was a big controversy back when we were kids. And it was another one of the reasons why a lot of parents wouldn't let their kids watch The Simpsons. Bart is such a bad role model. And a lot of schools would ban Simpsons shirts, especially ones that had Bart on it. Some of the ones that had Bart on it had like swear words on it, and so they were banned in schools because you couldn't wear swear words on t-shirts.
Yeah, back when damn was a swear word.
Or hell, or you know. But one of them were shirts that had Bart on it and they said underachiever on them. Or variations on that. And they were banned from school because they thought they would make kids not do their schoolwork. There was a quote from one of the creators or producers or somebody, I think it was James L. Brooks that said something like, real life doesn't have many role models, so why do you expect them in television, or something like that? When they
Fair
asked him
enough.
about Bart Simpson. I kind of agree and I kind of don't on that sense. I honestly, I'm not even sure I agree with their assessment of Bart in this episode. When I was watching it back, I was like, this school psychiatrist is probably full of crap. This episode, it hit me one way as a kid, and it hits me one way now as a teacher. And it hits me as an adult who has finally, I finally in my late 30s was diagnosed with ADHD, which, man, would that have come in helpful if they had figured that out when I was Bart's age.
I wouldn't doubt there was an episode about this. There probably is. But I wouldn't doubt that for Bart either.
Well, yeah, I mean, Bart is kind of the stereotypical boy presentation of ADHD. I was much more like Lisa when I was a kid. If you had met me at that age, you would have said I was Lisa Simpson.
The smart aleck, the stuff like that.
Well, I was very smart. I was very passionate about causes. I mean, I still am. But, I got very good grades. I was constantly reading. I was very into music. I was the good kid. I was depressed most of the time. I would, but I was very, very, very Lisa Simpson. But I relate so much to Bart in this episode because as I got older, when I was younger, I was very Lisa Simpson and my grades were very good but as I got older and into high school, I started to struggle a little bit more with academics for reasons that had nothing to do with my intellect. If you look at me on paper, you would, or, if you just sat down and talked to me, I think you would say, oh, what an intelligent woman, But if you look at some of my grades during certain points in my life, you would go like, where are these grades coming from? I failed things. I had to go to summer school sometimes. There were times when my GPA dipped bizarrely, and none of that had anything to do with my academic, potential or my intellect. I hate using that word. But a lot of it came from the situation that I was in, or mental health issues at the time, or physical health issues at the time. It took me 4 years to get a 2-year master's degree because of my physical health. Not because I was mentally incapable of doing it, but because I was physically struggling. I look at Bart in this episode, and I see him sit down at the book, and he starts to study the night before the test at one point, and he falls asleep in the book. Like, the second he starts reading, he falls asleep in the book.
Now, there is an in-story reason for this. One, he delays the study as one. I'm going to play some video games, and then I'll study. Oh, I'm going to eat dinner, and then I'm going to study. Yeah. Oh, Dad wants to watch a movie with me. Okay, I'll watch the movie, and then I'm going to go study. And by the time all of that happens, he's exhausted. He's already spent how many hours playing video games at the arcade? How long did they take to watch How long did it take them to eat dinner? How long was that movie? So by the time he sits there and is ready to study, he's just checked out. There's no more energy left in him, and he just collapses. And part of it is on Bart. If he had just went straight home and not gone to the arcade and studied, he could have studied before dinner, before the movie. In a way, it is Bart's fault.
I agree with that. But, I see things like that, and I also look at that, though, and I see him try to say things like, Dad, I need to go and Homer pulls him aside, and I'm going, well, why isn't Homer listening to him?
Yeah, in that moment, the most important thing for Homer is, let's watch a movie.
Yeah. And why is it, I'm not blaming Lisa, of course, but, Lisa sees what's going on, and Lisa says nothing. Of course, she's the younger sister, and I do not blame her, But Marge also never seems to ask him about his homework and everything. Lisa later on the snow day does remind him, I saw you praying, and, you need to make good on that bargain there,
Yeah.
But the rest of the family, they know he's failing. They know he's gonna, and we never once see Marge and Homer step in and try to help. They just kind of accept, like, okay, he's gonna repeat the 4th grade.
Yeah, and that's like the big thing that bothers Bart. Is like, yeah, he's been able to coast off doing the bare minimum, but now that's kind of over for him. If he fails one more test, he has to do the 4th grade all over again, and that just scares the life out of him. That little fantasy about old lady Miss Krabappel and him as a middle-aged man with his own kid in the 4th grade. Like, that's his nightmare. He'll be in 4th grade forever. It's a weird crossroads for Bart. He bargains with Martin saying, hey, I will make you cool, just try to get me smarter. And it works. Bart does study, but it backfires on him because now Martin has gone so cool that he is backtracked out of the deal. The Martin Prince you made a deal with no longer exists. Sorry, sucker. Of course, by the next episode, he's back to being a wimpy nerd that no one likes, but that's the nature of The Simpsons.
Yeah. And most animation of the time.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is that Bart does try, again, we're kind of in the collectivist versus individualist on this. Yeah, Bart makes mistakes through this episode, especially in the beginning. Mm-hmm. We see him blow off his schoolwork to go to the arcade. We see that at the beginning, especially, he doesn't do his book report, and he tries to coast by just stating things that he can see by looking at the cover.
He fakes the illness to get out of the test.
Yeah, he fakes the illness to get out of the test and stuff. So, I mean, there is blame to put on Bart, of course. Absolutely. But like I said, once other people realize that he is struggling, never once is he offered tutoring, say.
Again, this is where his deal with Martin comes in. Martin was tutoring him, and then Martin backed out of the deal when he became cool.
I'm sorry, but a 10-year-old kid shouldn't have to go bargain with another 10-year-old to get tutoring help.
But this is also part of the course for this era of Marge and Homer. There's other episodes where they say maybe we should be more involved with our children, and they just, in the same breath, kind of, they're fine on their own. That's kind of how they were in these early episodes.
Yeah, but also they bring in this school psychiatrist, And he goes like, yeah, your son's got a fear of failure, so the best thing to do is to just fail him and make him do it all over again. You hold a kid back in a grade when you honestly think it's going to help them understand the material better, retain the material better, when you think that they have perhaps an intellectual disability that means that they're not keeping up with their traditional peer group. That's when you hold a kid back.
In a way, that's kind of what they're doing, to play devil's advocate on that, because Miss Krabappel goes through all of his tests of the year, and as they go further into the test, and his scores get lower and lower and lower. So from their perspective, he isn't retaining the information, because the further they go through the school year, the lower his test scores are getting.
Yeah, the thing is that by the time I get a student, because I teach college, although I get some high school students that come in for dual enrollment, So I do teach high school students, but they're always kind of coming in to get early college credit. So I don't really deal with kids, who are going to not advance a grade, So if they fail a class I'm teaching, they might have to repeat the class, but it's not going to slow their progression in the same way. The thing about what is happening to Bart in this is that he has never really had any consequences for what has been happening. Like, he keeps failing, yeah, but it hasn't really been too much of a consequence until the possibility that he's going to be held back. So that's the thing that scares him. But the other end of that is he also hasn't been receiving any support to figure out why he keeps failing. So he goes out and he tries to find that support on his own with Martin.
He's on a good roll with Martin as a tutor, as Martin's even saying, "Hey, you're doing really good. We might have to, But it's that point where Martin becomes cool and he ditches him.
Yeah, he gets abandoned by the one kind of support that he has. We see that Bart is really thriving as long as he has a little support, as long as he has somebody to believe in him. Mm-hmm. And we see that at a couple other points in the series. Whenever Lisa kind of helps him, or he has some other kind of support to help him, he really does excel in various things throughout the series. But when he's kind of just left on his own, he kind of flounders because he doesn't really know how to structure himself. But the thing is, we get to the final bit where he's prayed for the snow day, the miracle arrives, he spends the entire snow day studying and studying and studying, and he goes in and he takes the test, and he gets that 59.
He fails the test by 1 point. One question. In that moment, it breaks him. And this is one of the few moments in the entire series where we see Bart show genuine emotion. The way that scene is animated, yes, for early Simpsons, but it's probably one of the more better animated sequences in the series, where you see his eyes water up and he's just completely broken. Like, I did my best and I still failed. This is the best I can do and I'm not good enough. Tell that to anybody and it'll break them. I mean, you and I have gone through it. I think everyone's gone through that moment where no matter how hard you try, there's no way to win. And in Bart's mind, that's where he is. At 10 years old, no matter how hard he tries at something, he is going to fail. And that emotion just seeps out of him. Like, this is the best I can do, and I'm not good enough. And it's just this rare moment in the series of Bart being honest. And not in his own mind, honest, I guess. This Bart showing this emotion, just being real, I guess that's what I want to say. He's, the cool kid persona drops. And he just doesn't know what to do at that point.
Yeah, this is one of the most heartbreaking moments in all of Simpsons history.
And as a teacher yourself, imagine yourself in Miss Krabappel's shoes, where you have the troubled kid who actually tries, and it's just not enough.
Well, I'm going to say that this episode of The Simpsons, this is the weird thing. This episode of The Simpsons, probably more than anything else, probably informs me as a teacher more than anything in the world. Every semester that I have gone in front of a classroom, I have said one thing to my class, which has been, I can't guarantee a passing grade to anyone, but everyone who has ever passed my class has done two things. They've turned in their assignments on time, and they've honestly tried. Because I think that that's the most fair way to run a class. Are you honestly trying your best? Because I don't want to have a person in my class like Bart. He really did try his best. He studied, he tried his best, and he still failed. He shows that he knows something that wasn't even tested on, which is another thing.
Yeah, that one little factoid of the battle that Washington lost that wasn't even on the test. And you see her, Krabappel's eyes was like, what did you say?
And she has to look it up to even see if he's correct. Because she doesn't even know. And then she's shocked that he is right. Because she doesn't know. She only knows the stuff that's on the test, which is unfortunately true of a lot of teachers sometimes.
Standardized tests are in the U.S., yeah. You're not really learning everything. You're learning what's on the test. But it shows, as Mr. Krabappel says, that Bart can learn. He can not only remember things from the textbook, but can apply it to situations.
Yeah, he can make connections. He understands history in context, which is way more important than just remembering stuff by rote to repeat on a test. I mean, this is you have picked such a great episode here. It's one of my personal favorites as well. This episode keeps getting put on best episode lists. No matter who makes the list, it keeps getting put on not only best episodes of Simpsons, but best episodes of television.
Yeah, because I think it's just something that everyone can go through. Sometimes you have these moments where you try and you fail. But in this instance, it wasn't because he was dumb. It was because of what was on the test. And he showed that he knows his stuff. He knows the book. He just happened to know things that weren't on the test. Yeah. And that was enough. Mr. Krabappel, it was, as Mr. Krabappel said, it's only fair. You know this. You memorize this. And even though it wasn't on the test, I'm going to count it because you tried.
Yeah.
And of course, that moment, I passed, I kissed the teacher. Blah! Yeah,
that was a really good ending moment. And, we were talking at the top of the episode about how, I wasn't allowed to watch it because Bart is such a horrible, thing, and it's unchristian, and this is listed now in several books about how The Simpsons portrays religion correctly and how it teaches Christian values and stuff. This episode is pointed to as the Christians teaching morality correctly.
He even says part of this grade belongs to God, because really he does. He prayed to God for the snowstorm that allowed him to study, that got him that grade.
Yeah.
Before we move on, because we've been doing it for the other episodes, let's talk about the chalkboard gag and the couch gag. Chalkboard gag, Bart writes, "I will not encourage others to fly."
I'm gonna guess this is like the, tie a towel around your neck and pretend to be Superman kind of flying rather than, call United and fly commercial.
Probably. Knowing Bart, that's probably what it was.
Yeah, it's the only thing I can figure would make him write on the chalkboard.
My only worry is who was the student that took the bait and fell?
Yeah.
Because that sounds like a Ralph thing, unfortunately.
Hilariously, I had one of my own students come into class one day and said, I'm sorry I wasn't in class the other day. My daughter jumped off the roof and broke her arm. And I said, oh no. And then I said, wait, did she tie a towel around her neck and pretend to be Supergirl? And she said, yeah, she's been watching that CW show. She did that. And she said, wait, how did you know she tied a towel around her neck? And I said, the classics never get old, sweetie. So apparently kids are still doing that to this day, which I'm kind of both sad about and proud about.
No kids. But that's a different movie for a different day.
Yeah. But yeah, the couch gag for this one is the couch falling through the floor, and then you hear Homer do the dope.
That is a classic couch gag. That's for, even though this is the beginning of the second season, that does feel like a first season couch gag. It's so simple versus the more out there couch gags of later seasons.
Yeah, sometimes it's the very, very simple ones that get you.
Yeah.
They have the more elaborate ones, sometimes, but sometimes it's those really quick ones that really have the punch to them.
True or false? You can get mono from riding the monorail.
False. No, wait, maybe it's true.
No, you were right. It's false. Wow, you really are going to be a monorail conductor.
That's right, boy.
I used to think you were stuck in an emasculating go-nowhere job.
Kids.
But now, I want to follow in your footsteps.
Do you want to change your name to Homer Jr.? The kids can call you Hoju.
I'll get back to you.
Kiki, your episode, you chose Season 4, Episode 12, Marge versus the Monorail.
Monorail, 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 monorail.
Famous because this was written by a not yet famous Conan O'Brien.
Yeah, and a lot of the people who worked on the Simpsons in the early years consider this the best episode of The Simpsons ever.
Not only does this have, some pretty good story and some great guest stars, but one of the early attempts at continuity. Because we get Lurleen in here that we hadn't seen since the last season.
Yeah, I had forgotten she was in this actually until I was doing the rewatch. Yeah.
Of course, Lurleen, the country singer that Homer managed, originally voiced by Beverly D'Angelo, pretty much because she played Patsy Cline in the biopic. Quick note, 'cause again, who knows when we're going to do that episode. Lurleen is also based on a friend of Matt Groening's. Matt Groening was in a band with a woman named Kathy Cameron Goldmark. And if that name is familiar to you, it is because she was the mother of Tony Goldmark. So, yeah, Tony Goldmark's... Matt Groening was a family friend of Tony Goldmark's family.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, he's... if you ever listen to Tony's podcast, go back to his episode on The Simpsons. He goes through the whole thing and how his mom and knew Matt Groening, and apparently they were in a band together, and Lurleen is loosely based off that. But mostly based off Loretta Lynn because of the name Lurleen Lumpkin, because the same initials.
Yeah.
But yeah, not voiced by Beverly D'Angelo in this episode because, one, they probably couldn't get her for this episode, and two, they wanted to show that she had fallen on hard times since Homer dumped her. And she would come back in later episodes, kind of showing that she never got over Homer. Because we see in later episodes a string of ex-husbands that all look like Homer.
Yeah.
I do like that, I think. And so, yeah, that was it. And, of course, we get references to another Fox show, Beverly Hills 90210, with our not Luke Perry character.
Yeah, that was I had forgotten the celebrity stuff in here, except for, of course, Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah, Leonard Nimoy cameos as himself. Leonard Nimoy acting like a Star Trek fan in this movie, in this episode.
Yeah, I really always liked this because of the Leonard Nimoy stuff when I was a kid. You know, this episode was always kind of one of my favorites because it's like, oh, Leonard Nimoy, you know. It just kind of feels really chill and weird as an adult, but weird in the best way, you know? I don't know. It feels so zen the way they use him.
In later episodes, most of the celebrities play themselves. And this is one of the earliest instances of a celebrity playing himself as opposed to another character.
I like the way that they bring it in, because you think that he's going to just be a cameo, and then he works into the plot, which you don't expect on your first watch of this.
Yeah. He saves Krusty the Clown from jumping off the monorail. No, the world deserves laughter. Oh, yeah. The world needs laughter.
Yeah, I love that bit. I love that Conan O'Brien was just driving around Los Angeles and he saw a billboard that just had the word monorail on it, and there was no other context. And that's where this episode came from.
You would think that, considering it was L.A., that it would have been something involving Disneyland, because they have the monorail.
Maybe, but I don't think to this day anybody ever knew what that billboard was. But that's apparently where this episode comes from. He was just driving around LA, going somewhere, and he saw a billboard and it just said monorail. And he went, what? And apparently it baffled him so much that it just stuck in his brain, and somehow that led to this episode. They had such a bizarre grouping of cultural references.
Yeah, the episode begins with a reference to the Flintstones.
Yeah, they do the entire Flintstones opening,
and then
for no reason.
And then it just jumps to a reference to Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah, with the Axel F. Again, why? We don't know. It and just is.
And then a reference to Silence of the Lambs.
Again, why? We don't know. It's just... This is just such a bizarre bounce around Conan O'Brien's brain, I guess. And the setup is that Mr. Burns gets caught dumping toxic waste illegally, so they fine him $3 million for doing that, and he's like, oh yeah, that's cool, just take it out of my wallet. Which I think is such a great bit on how fining rich people for doing bad things is no real punishment at all. Because it's just, you must be this rich to do the bad thing.
And that's only gotten worse since.
Yeah, it's just... And so then they're like, well, we have $3 million. What are we going to do with it? And of course, Lisa wants the schools to have extra funding, which I like.
I love that VR. For a while, that VR thing is always in my brain every once in a while. Defile who I defile, eat who I eat.
Yeah, I like that Lisa's VR history fantasy is so bloody.
Hey, history was bloody.
Well, yeah, but I like that her specific. It's not like go watch some great inventor invent something or whatever. It's like, no, watch Genghis Khan lay waste to humanity. Like, okay. Bart, of course, wants to use it for robotic ants to eat the school.
One of the many, many fantasies he has of him destroying the school.
Yeah.
So the best one is him with the wrecking ball to the schools out for summer.
Yeah. But when they all get together to talk as a town about how to spend the $3 million, Marge wants to fix Main Street, which we see in the flashback has been mostly destroyed by Homer.
Yeah.
But, she wants to use it for a sound infrastructure plan, which good for Marge.
It's the most practical of all of the ideas for the money.
I like that Mayor Quimby tries to say that they have $2 million, and then Lisa's like, don't you mean $3 million? And he's like, yeah, I misspoke. I wasn't trying to scam $1 million off the top, little girl. Yeah. I love that Abe Simpson tries to talk the town out of it, but he says it in such a backwards way that everybody assumes he's... But Abe's line in that is one I quote all the time, which is like, I ain't for it, I'm again it. I scream that all the time. But they're all on board with Marge's plan, and then we get the introduction of Lyle Landley.
Played amazingly by the amazing Phil Hartman.
Oh, Phil Hartman. I love Phil Hartman so much.
Phil Hartman, who has guest starred on so many of those early Simpsons episodes, he's might as well have been a regular cast member.
Yeah, Phil Hartman was everything on The Simpsons for a while. Yeah, those early years with The Simpsons, man. But yeah, this is one of his triumphs. Even though this character really only appears in this episode, his entrance when he comes in and is like,
a town with money's a little like the mule with a spinning wheel.
And I love that it's such that folksy, quote, and everybody's like, ha 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 ha, and then he goes into
the Monorail song.
Well, at first he does that cheap heat, of like, well, I would tell you, but it's more of a Shelbyville idea.
This whole thing is, you want to talk about bizarre references, this is a reference to the Music Man.
Yeah, he comes in and he does the Music Man con, which is, again, another bizarre cultural reference. Yeah.
Monorail.
We got trouble! Right here in River City! With a capital T and that rhymes with P and that stands for pool!
Which is brilliantly written, and apparently the lyrics were Conan O'Brien. The music was by Al Jean, I think. And just so wonderful. It's a short song, but it's got some really interesting rhymes and stuff, anything.
Were you sent here by the devil? No, good man, I'm on the level.
Yeah. The ring came off my pudding can. Take my penknife, my good man. I love that one because it has nothing to do with anything else, but it just Chief Wiggum's off in his own little world. But I love Bart's thing about, sorry, Mom, the mob has spoken.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. Even today, against all common sense, the mob rules.
Yeah, and so the whole town, just goes off on the monorail idea, and then we have, Homer decides that he doesn't want to be, he doesn't want his job at the nuclear plant anymore. Now his dream is to become a monorail conductor.
Which plays into a running gag of these early years of The Simpsons.
Marge, you're standing in the way of my boyhood dream of managing a beautiful country singer.
Your boyhood dream was to eat the world's biggest hoagie, and you did it at the county fair last year, remember?
Marge, I want to be a monorail conductor.
Homer, no.
It's my lifelong dream.
Your lifelong dream was to run out on the field during a baseball game, and you did it last year, remember?
I got a job at Burns' Casino. As you know, it's been my lifelong dream to become a blackjack dealer.
Your lifelong dream was to be a contestant on The Gong Show, and you did it in 1977, remember?
We got more gongs than the breakdancing robot that caught on fire.
Yeah, and so he gets into the Monorail Academy, which, of course, we see how much of a absolute scam artist Lyle Lanley is, where he ends the course with mono means one and rail means rail, and that's the end of the course. It's like, and that guy over there, he's gonna run the monorail. Okay. And I like that Lyle Lanley is his entire plan is to go to Tahiti, which I hear is a magical place.
You should go sometime.
Where?
Tahiti. It's a magical place.
Yeah, Agent Ward told me they sent you to Tahiti.
It's a magical place.
You mentioned that. Seems Fury has a soft spot for his favorites. Not everyone gets sent to Tahiti.
It's a magical place.
Marge decides that she needs to go check out this monorail and goes to North Haverbrook, which is one of the places he says he put on the map with a monorail.
Another running gag.
From now on, the baby sleeps in the crib.
Iron helps us play. Hello, Joe.
From now on, the baby sleeps in the crib.
Iron helps us play. Hello, Joe.
I've sold monorails to Brockway, Ogdenville, and North Haverbrook.
Is there a chance the track could bend?
I call the big one Bitey.
I've sold monorails to Brockway, Ogdenville, and North Haverbrook.
Is there a chance the track could bend?
I call the big one Bitey.
Mom, I need more OJ. Flintstones chewable morphine.
Oh, Miss Sheriff Lobo.
Mom, I need more OJ. Flintstones chewable morphine.
Oh, Miss Sheriff Lobo.
OJ, morphine.
Lobo.
OJ, morphine.
Lobo.
Dental plan.
Lisa needs braces.
Dental plan.
Lisa needs braces.
Dental plan.
Lisa needs braces.
And they do that with the little floating heads going around Marge in this one, yeah. But she goes to North Haverbrook, and it's a ghost town, and people are like, there never was no monorail. And then she shuts it, and it's the Monorail Cafe, But she finds the scientist Sebastian Cobb, and he's like, the monorail, first time we ran it, it crashed, and, everything, and we had put all our money in it, now we're a ghost town, and so they go back to stop the monorail, and everybody is on board the monorail. Of course, everything breaks. The whole thing is a scam. Can we cut the power? And then they go, no, it's solar powered. Will people ever learn? And then we get the miracle of the the solar eclipse. The dance of the universe, as Leonard Nimoy says.
Can I change my seat?
and all, but of course the solar eclipse doesn't last very long, and as soon as the solar power is back, it speeds off again. But I like that Lanley does get his comeuppance because the flight to Tahiti, which is a magical place, makes a stop in North Haverbrook, and I like immediately they're like, there he is! It's like, I don't know how the locals knew his plane would be stopping there. But they do finally get their revenge on him, which I like.
So yeah, they figure out that they need to anchor it to stop it, and I do love that the anchor actually ends up causing more damage to Main Street than there already was.
Yeah, but I like that Homer's first thing when she says you need an anchor is he looks at Bart and Bart turns into an anchor, and then as the anchor he goes, think harder, Homer. But
good thing there was a cowboy on the monorail.
Yeah, I love the cowboy is just there practicing his lasso tricks. But I like that eventually the M lands inside the lard lad donut.
Yeah.
And Homer's like, donuts. Is there nothing they can't do?
Donut.
But the funnier thing to me was I had forgotten all about that bit, and I was actually eating a donut while watching this episode. It's like having my breakfast and preparing for the episode. So I was watching, I was like in the middle of a bite, and Homer's like, donuts. So I was like, yes, donuts. But I love that Leonard Nimoy gets off the monorail and he's like, my work here is done. And Barney's like, you didn't do anything. He's like, didn't I? And then just transports away.
And then we see that this is not the first or only time that Springfield has wasted money on something that is a failure. The skyscraper filled with popsicles, the world's largest microscope, the escalator to nowhere.
Yeah, the magnifying glass that says the popsicle stick scraper, the popsicle stick skyscraper on fire. The escalator to nowhere I love because that is such a well-timed bit because you have like the people going up it and then falling off, and I love the way it's timed because it's like two people that are like right after each other, so you get the little sound effect of like, and then it just waits as you like watch the third person in the line just slowly go up, and then it's like, I love that they make you wait for that third one in the series. It's like, we're gonna do the rule of three, but you're gonna wait for this episode it's a bizarre episode, but it's also so well put together because there's no B plot to it. But at the same time, it is such a bizarre confluence of bouncing around to different unrelated cultural references that don't really make sense, but work together so well. And it's sort of a start of Simpsons continuity in some ways. It's a lot of Simpsons running gags. It's got the musical number. You know, it's one of Phil Hartman's better performances in The Simpsons. It gives all of the family members a short chance to shine.
The smartest one being Lisa's like, why does a small town like Springfield need a high-speed rail system?
And then I love how Lyle Lanley just kind of slinks in there, and he's like, what a brilliant question from a small little girl. You know, I could give you the answer, but we'd be the only one who would understand it, and that includes your teacher. And somehow that works. Like, he flatters Lisa so well. He understands Lisa so well.
Con man's got a con man, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a good con. I don't know. It's so great. We gotta mention the director of this episode too.
Go ahead.
It was directed by Rich Moore, who we have talked about his work before on the show, because he has directed Wreck-It Ralph and Zootopia, for which he won a freaking Oscar. He directed so many episodes of The Simpsons, including some of the best ones, and some of the better episodes of Futurama, episodes of The Critic as well. So, I mean, this is one of the best directors in all of animation, and a long career with both Simpsons and Disney. Really, really impressive, you know, that this was put together by some of the best in the business.
Yeah, and like you said, one of the best Simpsons episodes ever.
You wanna talk about
Chalkboard
and couch gag here?
Yeah, chalkboard gag. I will not eat things for money.
I don't know why. That's a perfectly fine profession.
I mean, there are people whose whole entire thing that they will eat strange things for money. They even make TV shows about it.
Yeah, that's like a whole section of YouTube, I think.
Yep. And our couch gag, The Simpsons and the couch, and the entire rest of the town sits right in front of them.
Yeah. Darn you, blocking the TV.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. So.
Again, another classic. Sometimes the simplistic couch gags are the ones you remember. And I think this was a nice selection of episodes, not only from our guests and from us. So I don't think we really need to ask the question, but now that we've seen episodes from essentially every era of The Simpsons, you know, we have, you know, essentially 4 episodes from the classic era and the 1 episode of the modern era. Does The Simpsons have the magic?
Yeah, I mean, you can talk about whether or not it's waned a bit, but I think there's still magic there. I think it's a different quality of magic, maybe, these days. But it's still enough to keep me watching.
I mean, it's still entertaining. I would say definitely The Simpsons still has the magic. The classic episodes are still good, and, you know, as I said before, The Simpsons can still pull out a banger in the modern era. All right, so that's all we can say on The Simpsons. Next week, Kiki, it's that time of year. Again, as this episode is being released, it's Thanksgiving. It's getting colder. Those beautiful lights are coming out everywhere. And, of course, everyone is looking forward to that arrival from that man dressed in red. I'm, of course, talking about Spider-Man, because there's a movie coming out in a few weeks.
Yay!
So, in honor of the new Spider-Man film, we are taking a look at all 3 live-action Spider-Men. Starting next week with the one that kind of started it all in terms of theatrical Spider-Man movies, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Taking a look at Tobey Maguire's first outing as the Wall Crawler. So that's going to be very interesting to go back to these older movies in preparation for the new film. So come back next week for Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, and we will talk to you all then. Bye.
Bye. Don't let the magic stop here.
Join our conversation online on Facebook at Rewatching the Magic.
Twitter at Rewatch the Magic.
And of course, new episodes every week at rewatchingthemagic.podbean.com.
Remember, the magic is for everyone.
It only stops if you let it.